eNCA election bus is on its way to the controversial town of Orania in the Northern Cape. Let's go to eNCA's Xoli Mngambi, who's there. Xoli, you're still on your way there. What are you expecting to find when you get there? It's quite an interesting place to go and ask people questions about the upcoming elections.
Yeah, you're quite right, Anli. I can tell you right now where we are in the town, small town of Warrington, and I'm looking to my left simply because I want to get that name right. We're in the town of Warrington. We're told that from here it's about 70 k's to Kimberley, and we should by then be much closer to Orania because Orania is within a particular radius from Kimberley. But you ask the question, what are we expecting to find there, Anli? Well, it's a question of perception versus reality, Anli. People have lots to say about Orania. Remember that the origins of Orania, or trying to establish the town, the intention behind that was to try and establish an Afrikaner self-determination sort of a state, if you like. And so it's a place that is completely self-governed, and it's completely away from the rest of South Africa, if you like. They promote things that basically help them to be self-sustained. The important element, though, Anli, is that we ourselves should not speculate about what we are going to find in Orania. Instead, we're actually on an expedition ourselves. We want to find out and see things for ourselves. But just some of the things that are very interesting that I've been reading about, for example, if South Africans have already forgotten, you'll remember that the Orania is the very same place where the wife, the widow of the late apartheid Prime Minister, that's Hendrik Verwoerd, that's where she relocated to when that particular Orania village was established back in 1991. When she died in the year 2000, her house was transformed into the Orania Verwoerd Museum, and we apparently are going to find that a section of the house was left as it was when she died, and then the other side is full of gifts and other material that the two were essentially using during their time as public representatives back in the apartheid years. And also we'll find the clothing that Dr. Hendrik Verwoerd would have worn on the day of his death. So that's just some of what we expect to find there, Anli.
Xoli, we'd put a post online earlier saying that the election bus is on its way to Orania, and we asked people on social media to respond with any questions, things that they might want to know about the town itself. Have you received any responses?
Yeah, and actually I have one in front of me right now as I speak, and it's from a lady called Ria Myberg, and she says, and I quote, "Thank you, Xoli and eNCA, for the opportunity to hear and see what even people whom we might not agree with has to say about the upcoming election. Thank you for upholding the right of freedom of speech and expression, for which the ANC founders struggled for and died for. You are doing an amazing job. Well done, and God bless." So these are just well wishes. It's a well-wishing message only. The other messages are very wide and varied. Some people very pensive about us, black people, going into Orania. You'll know that it is an Afrikaner speaking community in the main, and we hear that it's only Afrikaners who are allowed to live in and around Orania. Some of the interesting bits only that we expect to find there, for example, I've just been reading about some of the museums and interesting places to visit when we get inside Orania. There is what is called the art skip only. Now remember that in South Africa at the moment we have been battling load shedding. So these are people who are very self-sufficient. So let me tell you what the art skip is about, and we're told it is an energy efficient, municipal independent, self-sufficient green residence. And this house was built by an Orania engineer and his family, and it's built with recycled material, and it uses and reuses resources in a smart way to be self-sufficient. So these are just some of the interesting bits that I've been reading about, and of course anyone who wants to get off the grid in South Africa today because of being upset with Eskom constantly load shedding us, this might actually give us clues about how to be self-sufficient and not rely on Eskom or the municipal entities that provide us with water.
Well, if I can give you a question that you can ask on my behalf when you get to Orania, I want to find out from the people there, if they are self-governing and self-sustained, will they be voting in the elections, and do they see any value in participating in the democratic process?
Okay, and we certainly are going to put that question to them, because it's also one of the interesting reads, because Orania has its own representative council, and get this, they go and elect after every 5 years. These elections, they coincide, we're told, with South Africa's municipal elections, and so it does appear that Orania is its own self-sustaining municipality. But we're going to find out about how all of that works. How do they manage in terms of collecting revenue and what have you. So these are just very interesting finds as you actually ask those questions about whether or not they do participate in the democratic elections, as we're about to on the 8th of May.